Good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I know you were waiting for this family meeting. We have a very interesting guest. We were supposed to have this conversation last night and we were unable to have this conversation, but it's definitely going to happen tonight. And I'm not going to comment on the irony of my shirt. We are well aware that I'm wearing a snake shirt, and this is a pure coincidence. So please don't comment. Let it be, okay? Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to wait for our guest. Ooh, I feel like sneezing. Yeah, there we go. I found him. Let's see if the connection is fine now. There we go. It's connecting. Thank goodness.
Hello.
Finally. Finally.
Finally.
Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to switch off the comments simply because I would like you guys to see our guest, and I would like us to have a conversation where we're not interrupted. Then towards the end of the conversation, for about 10-15 minutes, I'll open the comment section so that we answer all your comments as truthful as we can. Oh, my dog. Yeah, so I'm going to switch off the comments for now so that we are able to have this conversation. So just to give you an introduction, the reason why I have these conversations and the reason why I'm so stern on having them is purely to give light and insight to what's happening around the world, especially in the churches space and in the cult space. I've done numerous research with different people about the same topic. I've written about it. There are certain things that I have experienced myself. Some experiences are from friends and so forth. Some experiences are purely from testimonies from other people. Obviously, what my intention for these conversations is always to bring somebody who has some kind of experience and who has a broader understanding and who has turned over a new leaf. So they started somewhere, they did something, and then they went on to do other things as opposed to what the problem in the conversation would be, right? So I saw a lot of comments yesterday when I posted that we will not be having this conversation at that particular time, is last night. And the comments that I saw under that post were, for an example, Jackie, why are you insistent on bringing these fake pastors onto your feed? We are giving them platforms to market whatever it is they want to market. And I purely didn't answer that question because I've always said, and I'm repeating it again, that everybody has a past. Their past is equally important as the next person, and their experience is equally important because sharing that experience might help somebody who's experiencing something similar in the present moment. So I will not deem myself as a pure person. I will not deem myself as a perfectionist, and I certainly don't know everything. That's why I have these conversations, so that you can correct me when I'm wrong. I can get your story and we can find solutions, possible solutions. Not that every solution that's here is going to work for everyone, but it's possible solutions to get out of cults in particular, or church cults, right? So thank you once again for having this conversation with me. I would like you to introduce yourself. I know you. Funny enough, I met you for the first time today. And honestly speaking, your aura blew me off. I don't know what it is. I don't know what you carry. I don't know, but it blew me off. I had to come home and pray. I had to, yeah, I had to be with other people so that I am okay. Um, Nevertheless, I'd like you to give sort of a background for people who have not experienced you, have not watched your videos, who were not in the church that you started in East London, who were not part of the church that you had in Zim. Just give them a brief summary of who you are, where you come from, and then we'll get into the conversation.
Oh, well, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jackie. I think first and foremost, I would like to say that you are doing a wonderful job, you know.
Thank you.
And many people might not understand where you're coming from, why you're doing what you are doing, and
Mm.
stuff like that. But I, for one, will tell you today, if no one has ever told you that, don't stop what you're doing. You are liberating millions of people across the globe. You
Thank you.
know, you are liberating a lot of people out there. And at the same time, we have so many people who are also in denial of the truth. They know the truth, but they are living in denial. They know that everything that you've been talking about, everything that you're saying is the truth. That is why today, when I met you, I said, you know what? I fear for your life because you think you are exposing what people are doing, but it's deeper than that. You are dealing with a system. You're not dealing with individuals. You are dealing with a system that is so wicked in such a way that once you start exposing their secrets, they will do everything possible to make sure that they kill you. You know, if they don't get you physically, they'll definitely get you spiritually. So I would like to commend you for the great work you're doing. May God bless you for this. And I know that a lot of people out there, one day is one day, they're going to go back to all your videos and they'll begin to say, you know what, she was right. She was saying the truth, you know?
Thank you. I don't want to lie to you. The last 14 days, if I'm not incorrect,
Mm.
have been extremely challenging.
Okay.
They've been extremely challenging from a security point of view, from an emotional point of view, from a spiritual point of view. Um, and like many people, I think you've experienced what I've experienced, where you do get death threats, you do get people calling you, you do get people following you.
Yes.
Um, People trying to also sabotage people. And I'm well aware that people are getting bribes at this present moment to find a way to discredit me. I'm well aware. I've had those conversations with multiple people over the last
Mm.
4 or 5 days where people have come to me and said, Jackie, I want you to see the screenshot. I was offered so much money to discredit you. I was offered so much money to write an article that is negative about you.
Mm.
Um, I've had people who have said, okay, listen, I don't know what to do about this situation, but I'm getting people are offering me gifts to speak ill of you, to reject contracts, to do things. I've had that in the last 5 days, and I'm not even speaking about
Mm.
something that happened years ago. In the last 5 days, um, and purely because of these conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I'm not going to sit here and pretend as if everything is okay. It's
True.
not
True.
okay. I'm dealing with it the best way I know how, the best way I have dealt with it in the last 5 years.
Mm.
I'm trying to be very consistent with that way because it has worked. So thank you for acknowledging that, because a lot of people think that I start these lives just to rattle the country or divide the country or bring some kind of confusion to Black culture or black tradition. And
Mm.
they thinking that I'm driving some kind of propaganda to divide people, to confuse people. So that was never my intention. My intention was purely to show you the other side, that they're truly hiding, and they don't want people to know, because that's what
Yeah.
they feed
Yeah.
themselves with. They use
Exactly.
people to feed their spiritual demons. And it's been a very, very difficult 14 days,
Mm.
day
Mm.
and
Mm.
night.
I can
I
imagine.
told, yeah, fighting. I spoke to you today, and I spoke to other people today, and the normal consensus, well, the general consensus was, my God, may God be with you, because we feel it. We see the comments, we see the articles coming out, people trying to say, oh no, she's just trying to demonize Black culture. She's just trying to make Black people seem like they are witches and this. I'm like, no, I didn't say that. I've never said the Black culture is demonic. I said there are some aspects of Black
Exactly.
culture that people
Exactly.
use for demonic powers. That's what I've said over and over again. And you are true, and you're right in saying that there are people who will try to distort the truth. I'm well aware. You know, there's so many people online creating these lives with traditional healers and what, trying to say, no, cults are not a thing. They're an African thing, a West African thing. And I'm like, no, you know, we live in South Africa. Can you just open your eyes for a little bit and stop being in denial?
True. True. True.
So this particular conversation, I'm most certain they will find ways to distort it, you know. So that's why I would like us to be very, very clear, very, very intentional, and also very, very truthful to what we know with our experiences.
Exactly.
Because your experience and my experience will never be the same, but it does not make it untrue.
True.
You understand?
True.
So I pray this conversation goes well, because that's the intention. I pray that you speak your truth without feeling censored. And I do hope once you leave this conversation, you equally feel that you have done your job to educate or save someone or just inform someone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's start. Where do you come from? Where do you come from?
Well, my name is Jay Israel, and I was born and bred in Zimbabwe. Although a lot of people think I'm Nigerian because probably I look Nigerian, but I was born and bred in Zimbabwe in a city called Bulawayo. Yeah, you know, I come from a family of four girls, two boys. I lost a sister some years ago, and I lost my dad as well a few months ago during lockdown. And
Oh, my
unfortunately, I wasn't
condolences. I'm
able to
so sorry
travel for
about
his
that.
funeral. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, so I grew up in Zimbabwe, you know, from very humble beginnings, you know, come from a very humble home, you know, we had to struggle for everything, struggle to get food, struggle to go to school. And I dropped out. I didn't finish school, unfortunately. I dropped out when I was in Form 1. Form 1, that's like grade 8 here in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I dropped out. And when I dropped out, um, stayed with my mom. I love my mom so much, by the way. I stayed with my mom. You know, she tried to do everything possible to send me back to school, but things were not so well. So at that time, you know, I started hanging out with these guys who were quite older than me, and started drinking. I started doing a lot of things at a very young age. You know, they used to call me Mangane. You know, in Bulawayo we speak Ndebele. That's more like Zulu.
Yes, yes.
hmm So they used to call me Manane. So each time we'd go to the nightclubs or we'd go to the, you know, drinking places, you know, they would call me Manane, Manane, small boy, what are you doing here? You know, so to try and cover that up, I now had locks. My locks were probably up to here, up to my shoulders. And yeah, I pierced my ears, you know, just to try and cover up the young look and all that. That went on for like maybe like 3 years or so, you know. Yeah, then I remember at some point we went to Botswana, myself and my friends. We went to Botswana to look for jobs, but we couldn't find anything. And then we had to go back home to Zimbabwe. Life was very tough. And then I gave my life to Christ when I got back home to Zimbabwe. I gave my life to Christ. I started, you know, going to church, and then at church I met up with some people. who told me, oh, you've got a gift, you know, you are gifted, would like to help you out. But you know, there's something about poverty. When the spirit of poverty is upon your life, no matter who can help you on or what can happen, you know, you will still go back to, you know, to square one. I remember this man looked at me and he said, at the time I was in Usher at church, he looked at me and he said, young man, you look like my son. I said, oh wow, that's great. And they said, yeah, you look like my son who passed away. Now already you begin to realize that poverty will make you look like dead people. You know, I hate poverty. You cannot walk up to a rich man and say, you look like my dead uncle. I mean,
Yeah.
it's can't,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
That will
Yeah,
purely be an
so
insult.
exactly. So then he said to me, I'm going to give you my son's clothes. Come home, I'm going to give you his clothes, his shoes, everything that he left behind. So the man gave me everything. I took these things to our home. Hey, the rats in our house did a party with those clothes and shoes. They ravaged everything, you know, and I was left with nothing, you know. So as time went by, met up with this pastor from Blawayo, and he told me, "You are gifted. You know, you've got a gift, and God is going to use you mightily." And told me all those things. I've always loved God from a very young age, you know. So um, the pastor said to me, you know, come stay with me. I started staying together with this pastor back home in Zimbabwe. Started staying together with this pastor at his house. We stayed together for a very long time. I became his personal assistant, and then I joined the praise and worship as well, because at times when I'm happy, I try to sing just a bit, you know. So he said, join the praise and worship team. I became the praise and worship leader. I became an assistant pastor. And then afterwards, he actually ordained me to be a pastor in his church. Then as time went by, I'm just trying to fast forward everything just for the sake of time so that I can get to the, you know, to the gist of the whole story. You know, so then there came a pastor from Ghana. This pastor came all the way from Ghana, and then when he came down to Zimbabwe, he also gave me a prophetic word, and he said to me, young man, God is going to use you mightily. God is going to do great things through you. A lot of people will be saved through you. You know, he said a lot of things, and then I said, oh, thank you. So I started moving together with this pastor. And then at the age of 18, I moved from from Blawayo to Harare. Harare being the capital city of Zimbabwe. So when I moved to the capital city of Zimbabwe, I started a church at the age of 18. And then I met up with this family. I'm sure they're probably watching right now. I met up with this family. They're like my foster family, you know. They took care of me when I got to Harare. They gave me a home to stay. Then they say to me, you are gifted, and we don't want you to take any money from anybody. We don't want you to collect any cent from anyone. The only thing that we want you to do, preach the word, teach people the truth, tell people the truth, and then we just take it from there, you know. So as time went by, I remember I was doing that. They bought me a car, they bought me everything. I mean, for an 18-year-old young man who's coming from humble beginnings, I could see my life changing. And so many people were shocked. They're like, oh, is that Jay? How did this all happen? You know, for the sake of time, but the full story is available on my YouTube channel, on Facebook, everywhere. I've been talking about this for quite some time now. So at the age of 19, there's a gentleman from Ghana who contacted me via Facebook, and he said to me, I see that you're leading a church in Zimbabwe. I can help you. I can help you, you know, grow your church. You can have the biggest church in Zimbabwe. You can be like the big pastors in Zimbabwe. You know, you can also prophesy. You can meet people, tell them whatever they want to hear. You can tell them their names, tell them their phone numbers, tell them their problems. You can tell them everything that they're going through. You can tell them a whole lot of things as soon as you meet up with them without you even knowing these people. I got intrigued. You know, I got intrigued. I was like, man, that's interesting. You know what? Come down to Zimbabwe. So I invited him. He came down to Harare. Then I hosted him for a few days. Then after those days, I told people at church, and I said that I'm going to be traveling to Ghana. I'm going to preach. So now I had already spoken to this guy, and he had told me the places that we were going to go. He told me, I'm going to take you to Benin. Benin is just next to Nigeria, next to Togo. He said, I'm going to take you to Benin. When we get to Benin, they're going to do everything for you. They're going to do a spiritual exercise for you so that you can have power, you can have authority, whatever you will say with your tongue. If you tell anyone to do anything, they'll do it without even questioning you. You're going to have a big church. You'll begin to tell people their names and all those things. So I was very excited. I was very excited because I could see all these big pastors on TV. I mean, I used to see all these big pastors on TV performing miracles, telling people their names, their date of birth, phone numbers, and all those things. So, I mean, for a young man who's trying to, to serve God and to do all the, when you begin to hear such things, you get so excited.
Yeah,
I
you get
started seeing
mesmerized.
myself.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You get mesmerized.
Exactly.
You sort of
Exactly.
desire to be on that
Exactly.
level.
Exactly. So I started seeing myself as a very big man, upon coming back from that place. But okay. So we took a flight. We took a flight from Harare. We landed in Kenya. I think it's in Nairobi. We landed in Nairobi. Yeah, we landed in Nairobi. Then we slept over in Nairobi. Then the following morning we flew to Accra, Ghana. From Accra, Ghana, we took a taxi that took us to Aflau border post. Aflau border post is the border that is between Togo and Ghana. So we slept over at Aflau border post. Then the following morning, we took another taxi again, went across Togo, and then we crossed into Benin. Togo is just a small city, so it didn't take us so many hours to cross from Togo into Benin. When we got into Benin, we took a long drive actually in Benin from the border post. We went straight to this village. I can't remember the name of the place. I can't remember exactly the location where we went to because it was deep down in the villages.
How many hours do you think it took you from the border post to that village?
Most probably 4 or 5 hours, maybe 5 or 6 hours, somewhere there. It was a very long drive. Yeah, it was a very long drive. So what we did, we got to this village. Then upon arrival, there was there was so many kids around this place. There was too many children playing around. So I said, "Hey, what's going on here?" I asked my friend. I said, "What's going on here?" And then my friend said to me, the guy who took me there, he said to me, "Oh, no, Akumbe." He used to call me Akumbe. Akumbe is, Akumbe was our code name for the cult. That's how we used to call each other, whenever we would, talk to each other, like, "Hey, Akumbe, Akumbe, Akumbe," West African people understand. So when we got to this place, there were so many kids around, there were so many children playing around. So I asked him, I said, "What are these kids doing here?" And then he said to me, "You see, all these kids that you see here, there are people who travel from Nigeria, from Ghana, from South Africa, from Zimbabwe, from Zambia, from Malawi, to come and do money rituals here. So what happens is that upon their arrival here, if their ritual requires blood, if they're supposed to do a blood sacrifice, all these children that you see here, those are the kids that they use for blood sacrifice." Now,
Okay,
and then I said,
hold on. My God. Hold on. You are traveling to the small village. The kids are in the streets, like outside. Is that what you're saying?
You see, like the village is like deep inside, like it's so secluded in an area where you won't even see people walking past or cars driving by. So around the house, there was like so many
around the
huts.
house you were going to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There was just too many kids loitering around. So, and then I said, "So where do they come from?" And then he said to me, "Now all those cases that you hear of children being trafficked in different countries, or maybe children being trafficked, children being stolen in cities and whatnot, all those kids who just go missing, they bring them to this place so that they can be used for sacrifice. Because in most cases, there are people who want to go for money rituals, but they do not have any children and they are not married. So what they do now, they get to that village and they pay for these kids, and they are given, you just buy one, and then they slaughter, they slit the throat, and then smear. Then they use the blood for the rituals that they're supposed to use. You know.
Okay,
Yeah.
clarity, right? This is probably a question that a lot of people in the comments will probably ask at some point,
Okay.
right? So you are there to do a ritual, right? And you are
Yeah.
able to choose a child. Is there a specific age group that the children that were in, or is it just all kinds of kids from all walks of lives? There's no a specific age group. And then second question would be, when you do this ritual, does it matter if it's a male or female, or a black child or Indian child or Muslim child? Do those things matter when you choose a child
Well,
for that kind of ritual?
you see, when you get to those places, there's always a temple priest, like the baba of that place. You know, that's what they
Yes.
call him, or babalawu or something. You know,
Mm.
there's always a man in charge of the shrine. So he is the one who determines whether you're going to go for a female sacrifice or you're going to go for a male sacrifice. It's going to get so deep in such a way that I just want to warn a lot of people who are watching right now that you know, we are living in a world that is so messed up that what I want to say before I even continue is that the physical world that we live in is controlled by the spiritual world. For example, right now, from September, October, right now we're in November and we're getting to December. Already, if you look at the number of accidents that have happened over the past months from September. Now, these 4 months, September, October, November, and December, according to the demonic calendar in the satanic world, they are called the ember months. These are the months where all people from the underworld, the people from the satanic kingdoms, all the occultic people, demonic people, you know, in different kingdoms. Because all these people come from different kingdoms. They don't just come from the same place altogether. There's different cults. There's different brotherhood organizations. There's just different places. So during these 4 months, watch the number of accidents that are going to happen and that have happened already. Watch the number of people that are going to die during these 4 months. Watch the number of people that are going to disappear during these 4 months. These are very critical months in the demonic and satanic world, because this is when most of the rituals are done. This is when most of the sacrifices are done. This is when most of their gatherings in the underworld, wherever, this is when they meet. And this is the most crucial time again for people to be very careful out there, because a lot is happening. A lot is happening. Satanic people are out there. They're all over. I'm telling you, occultic people are in the clubs, they're in the church, they're in the beer halls, they're everywhere. They're just all over the place, and they are looking for blood. They are looking for blood in so many different ways. It's either you'll disappear, or they're going to use your menstrual period blood, the blood you see during those days. That blood, they take it and they use it for sacrifice. It's either they're going to sleep with you. After they sleep with you, they're going to use whatever discharge that you're going to discharge, and they'll take that and use it for sacrifice. At the end of the day, you see yourself getting sick. You see yourself losing everything. If you go to work, you start losing things. Things will just start falling apart. Why? Because there is somebody that you met who was part of a cult, or who is part of a cult, or who is actually in the satanic kingdom, who belongs to the underworld. But because nobody knows, because they will never tell you when you meet them. That is why such conversations are very crucial and very important.
Can you please repeat the months again for somebody who might not have heard them? What are these months?
They're called the ember months.
Mm-hmm.
September, October, November, and December, ember months. You can just, yeah, you know, a lot is going to happen. There's going to be a lot of bloodshed. This happens every year. It's not something that's just going to happen this year, but it happens every year during these 4 months of the year. You know, every year there's sacrifices
Rituals.
being done, rituals being done in different places, demonic activities happening, you know.
Yeah, I just want to quickly interject there, because right now we are on the brink of 16 days of activism, right?
Okay, okay.
And a lot of women and children disappear around this time.
Exactly,
A lot
exactly,
of gender-based violence activities or crimes happen rapidly, or you see the increase of reported crimes right now,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
Um, for an example, there's this rugby player, this young rugby player who was in a rugby academy, and he was chosen to be a captain of some sort.
Okay.
I saw today on the news that he has disappeared. It's been about 8 days that he has disappeared. Not that I'm saying he's part of a cult or they took him or anything like that, but I'm saying there's a rapid increase in young people disappearing around this time.
Mm.
A lot of young people are equally dying at this time, whether they die spiritually or in the physical world, right? So I just want to also go back to now your journey. So you see these kids in this foreign land,
Yeah.
and this is what you're told that, okay, there's going to be a point where somebody chooses or buys one of these children for the cult. I mean, these people travel from all over. You traveled from Zim to this place.
Yeah.
So you see them, and at any given, at that specific moment, did you feel like you didn't want to do this anymore? You didn't want to go forth just by virtue of hearing what they were telling you, why those kids were there for?
You see, as soon as we go to that place, I didn't want to act like a coward. You know, as a man, at times you just want to, you know, you just compose. You understand? So I just had to compose. Like I acted as if everything was normal, but deep inside, my heart was pounding so fast, and I just couldn't take it because it was too much. I'm seeing this for the first time, and my background, where I come from a Christian background. And the things that I'm about to get myself into, and remember, I'm getting into this, consciously. And I had made a conscious decision that this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, you were
So
not coerced or forced or
exactly,
human trafficked
exactly.
or anything like that.
Yes. So when I got there, I just had to compose. And then he said, okay, no, don't worry, don't worry. This is what happens with these kids. So we go to the place, we met this old man. This old man couldn't speak proper English. You know, he was speaking pidgin English.
Yeah,
I'm sure
like the
you know pidgin
broken.
English.
Yeah. I've
Exactly.
experienced that,
But now the
especially in
pidgin
Malawi.
English, exactly. The pidgin English that the man was speaking was deeper than the one that I understand. So my friend had to, my friend had to interpret. Like, so they asked me, "What's your name? Where are you coming from? What do you want?" So I told him what I want, and then he said, "Okay, it's fine. How much did you bring? You know, but before we get to the how much part, we have to check your spirit because we don't want to give you something that after we give it to you, you're going to run mad. We don't want to give you something that after we give it to you, it is going to kill your family, your people will start dying one after the other. We first of all have to check how strong are you spiritually, you know, as a person before we give you anything else. But before all that, there's something called protection that they had to do on me. So the process of protection was the first one, where they were saying that after we initiate you into this, you are going to go back out there. You're going to meet other people who are in different cults. So you're going to clash spiritually, you know. Let's say you get to a place where there is a pastor or also in the occultic, and then he realizes that you're part of the cult and you are there, you are taking all his members, you're taking all the money. Because one thing for sure, you know, church is a business. You know, church is a business, and whether people who are watching me now are going to think maybe I'm being antichrist or anti-church, but I'll tell you, according to everything that I'm going to narrate now. Now, with me, I don't care. I mention people's names. Those who are part of the cult, I speak their names. You know, there's pastors that have that have run away from South Africa after I started exposing the things that we were doing together and the things that they were also doing in their own spaces. You know, I'll tell you why I got to that point and how I got fed up and how exactly I got to that point. But for now, so they did the protection part. the protection part, they took a razor blade.
Yes.
Yeah, like what I was telling you, that I've got a lot of those on my body, like the cuts.
So the razor cuts where they do like sort of a star on you, right? So it's
Yes,
from your head, your middle section, your arms, the
yes,
back of your head, and your
yes,
lower waist and
yes.
behind your legs, right?
Exactly. How do you know that?
I do my research. I'm not
Mm.
just sitting here and thinking that I know everything. I do. I really go in and do my research.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
So that's what they did. They put they cut me here on my back, on my arms, on my legs, on my tummy as well.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, there's this black substance that they use to rub onto my body.
It's like charcoal, right?
It's exactly. It's like charcoal. It's like charcoal. They used it to rub onto my body. Then they said, for now, we are done. You can go to sleep. So the room that they said you must go and sleep, it's a room where you find, those wooden sculptures, like those wooden statues, that they make,
Statues.
like those funny
Also, the
faces
ones
and
that they carve and they sort of draw a human,
yes,
they carve like an image of something.
an image of something
Yeah,
exactly.
like a god or
Yeah,
a Buddha or whatever,
uh-huh.
but an image of
True,
something,
true.
right?
Yeah. So there were so many of those images in that room, and then they said that's where you're going to sleep. Then they said that when you sleep in this room, you must not sleep with your clothes on, you sleep with your clothes off. So myself and my friend, we slept in this room.
Naked
This,
together, two males in one room,
yeah,
naked with statues.
yeah, very naked, and none of us is gay, by the way.
Thank God.
Yeah, very naked. Look, things that we do because we want something. You just do whatever it
Yeah, you
takes.
go in
Exactly.
blindly and you just accept what you asked to do.
Mm.
Yeah.
So when we're busy, so we're in there, we're in the room, and then I was asking my friend, "What's happening? These wooden images. There's blood dripping on them. You can feel, you can literally smell the smell of blood in the room, and it was very bad." And they say, no, it's part of the process. This is the protection part. Us sleeping in this room, we are familiarizing ourselves with the gods that we are going to be worshiping, because after we are done with this, we are not going to be worshiping the real God of heaven. We are not going to be worshiping the God of the Bible, but there is a God that they are going to introduce us to, and that is going to be our God. So we will not be worshiping God anymore. But when we go back to our people, we are still going to use the Bible. We are still going to use the Bible verses. We are still going to look. There is no one who knows scriptures like a false prophet. There is
Yeah,
no
for
one who
sure.
knows the Bible like a fake pastor. There is nobody who can quote scriptures like a businessman who is masquerading as a pastor, wearing a suit just to defraud the saints, you know?
Jay, I'd like us to go back to the sculptures because you
Okay.
said something very profound and something that I just want to interrogate a little bit more. So,
Mm,
the sculptures are dripping of blood.
yeah.
Do you know whose blood it is? Is it animal, human?
At that point, even up to now, I still don't know whether that's human blood or that's animal blood or what. But yeah,
So you're sleeping in this room and these things are dripping of blood. Does the blood dry out throughout the night, or there's a
the blood
source
does
of
not
blood
dry.
that's
It keeps on
continuing?
dripping from the head. Yeah,
Is there
it
a
keeps
bucket
on
of blood dripping on these things, or how?
it keeps on dripping from the head. Just to keep these images fresh. I don't know where that blood comes from. I don't know how it keeps on dripping or whatnot. But that is what I saw, and
So it was dripping like it was coming from a fountain,
something
because a
like that,
fountain sort of
but not
circulates.
much. It wasn't like that fountain kind of dripping, but
Yeah,
you could
but
literally see that there's blood, dripping here.
okay.
Yeah.
Are you sleeping at that time on a carpet, a mat, a mattress, or
No, no,
like
no, on the floor, on the floor.
on the floor?
Yeah, on the floor. Remember, this is West Africa. West Africa is very hot.
Mm.
So we're just sleeping on the floor, and it was actually very hot, so there was no need for a blanket or anything. So
Okay.
I kept on asking a lot of questions, and my friend was saying, no, 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 don't ask a lot of things, don't ask a lot of questions, because You don't know the
It might come
consequences.
across as undermining.
Yes. So you just don't ask anything. You don't ask anything. Whatever they tell you to do, that is what you do. If they tell you take off your clothes, you take off your clothes. If they tell you sit down, you sit down. If they tell you lie down, you lie down. There's no point of questioning, because the fact that you came all the way, it means you are now coming to submit to their authority. So whatever they tell you you're going to do, you're not going to question.
Okay.
So we slept in this room the whole night. We were there. Then the following day, they said we are going to now take you for a wash. We're now going to take you for a wash. Any spirits from your family, spirits from your village, whatever, anything that is linked to your family or background, we are going to wash you so that we can cleanse you properly before we initiate you to the cult. So they took me to this place, just a small bush, not far from the house where we were. When we got to that bush, I remember they brought this bucket, and in the bucket there were so many leaves, different leaves, different branches, different things inside. And then they brought fowls, chicken. Yeah, they brought live chicken. Then they told me to kneel down. I knelt down. Then what they'll do was to cut off the head of the chicken and then smear the blood around me. Doing this on my head, smearing the blood all over my body.